There is a prayer that you forgot to pray, but it's been answered anyway. This is the conversation that we're having today. And it's okay if you don't pray as in the formal, hands together kind of religious prayer. Neither do I. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the conversation in your heart, because that to me is what prayer is. So when I talk about the prayer you forgot to pray, I'm talking about something that's happened in your life that is so mind-blowingly perfect and such a beautiful answer to the prayer that you forgot to pray. And it's happening now, and it's going to keep happening. And I want to draw your attention to it, because the moment you see something, you validate it and you co-create it. And then it gets bigger and exponentially more, and it becomes ever present in your life. And what would happen to you if you started every day going, oh my gosh, there's another prayer that I didn't pray that's just been answered. Wow, because this is how life is meant to be. But there's a bigger picture to this. The bigger picture is the quarantine status of our planet, of Earth as the false matrix. Earth as the false matrix was set inside and set up to be a prison. And by prison, I mean isolated and separated, which is why we were born into the concept that said, you're the only life, not in the galaxy. You're the only life ever in the universe. I mean, this is, when I went to school, what we were taught. This is mainstream thinking, and anything outside of mainstream thinking, UFOs, life on other planets, it's crazy to think, but that's the world that we were born to. The false matrix was so intent on ingraining the trauma of separation, because it is a trauma. In fact, one of the greatest traumas, and I've often taught this in my online community, one of the greatest traumas that there is, that a human being can bear, is the pain of separation. The ultimate pain of separation is the pain of separation from God's source creator consciousness. But we don't have that as a thought. That doesn't happen at the conscious level. So what we do is we seek connection to others. We feel senses inside of ourselves that can often not be explained, but they feel like rejection, or I'm not good enough, or I'm being cast aside, or nobody loves me, or nothing I say or do will ever please anyone because all of that stuff. Where does it come from? Well, there's one collective wound that we all bear, and that is the separation from God's source creator consciousness, which defines the false matrix. The false matrix, I have a playlist on my channel about it, so I'm not going to go too deeply into it. We can talk about why would we have done this? Why would we have come into the false matrix? I've covered this in previous videos. There's one called the STARSEED mission. So type in Kerry K, STARSEED mission, or STARSEED purpose. It's one of those two. You'll find conversations about why we came into the false matrix. There are playlists on my channel, like the one called False Matrix and another one called Cosmic Origins. This is all going to give you a great backstory if you're listening and you go, whoa, I need more information. So it's all there. I want to talk today about the false matrix and how we grew up in a world of separation. And that separation was a very energetic, linear, literal thing. And by that, I mean here at the crown chakra, our connection to God, source, creator consciousness was severed. And that meant that it existed, but we couldn't connect to it. It existed, but we couldn't feel it. That was a devastating, tragic blow, and the very reason why humanity derailed to the degree that you see them derailing today. If you've asked yourself, what happened? How did people get like this? How did people become so ... narcissistic? How did people become so callous, cruel, uncaring, whatever it is? Because that is not the nature of humanity. It is not. That is imposed through a pervasive separation consciousness that is in itself the most traumatic thing we can go through. But as we experienced this connection to God and prayer with God, well, we were doing these things, we were connecting, but what we were able to connect to was a memory and at best a trickle. And that's being very generous when I say that. At best, a trickle. So what people say is, oh, I had this amazing prayer, meditation, God source consciousness. They're feeling that on a trickle. So could you imagine the thrill, joy, ecstasy, and bliss if you connected in your entirety with the entirety of the universe? It would send you into days worth of ripples of bliss that would totally enlighten your body and being. We are moving out of the false matrix. We are stepping into connection. Now think of the planet, cloistered, separated, and even quarantined from the cosmic field around it. That was necessary in the false matrix. So imagine our beautiful planet as if it had a shield, an impenetrable shield around it. That was exactly how it was. So what happened at your body, where your body was separate and cut off and disconnected from divinity, so was our planet. That was the false matrix. Now, that separation, isolation, that wall of separateness has melted. And a new energy is coming in. And the new energy that's coming in is called connection. And that connection is often painful because it requires you to connect to yourself, your pain, your fear, your trauma, everything suppressed, everything denied. So as much as connection sounds beautiful, the first feeling that connection brings is often a deep pain. But underneath that is everything you've ever wanted. All the answers, all the joy, all the love, all the unity is underneath that initial breaking through of the buried pain and trauma. And as this happens, as the reconnection happens, there's a surge and a waft of God, Source, Creator consciousness that occurs in your life, in your energy field, on our planet. Our entire planet is now able to receive the sun's energy. I'm not talking about the sun's light. I'm talking about the sun's energy. I'm talking about cosmic energy. That is not just from our sun, that is from the galactic sun, from the universal sun. We have access once again, which is why, cast your memory back, not so long ago, there was a massive planet-wide usage of that word quarantine. Because that's when we were coming out of it. That's when we were reconnecting with God's source consciousness. So an attempt was there by very dark beings to reinitiate that feeling of isolation, separation, that in truth was no longer there, but it was almost to cement it in. It was almost to create another trauma. And when a trauma is already familiar, when you've already holding, for example, the trauma of abandonment, and then you have a little waft of what could maybe possibly be abandonment, boy, it's like a double hurt. It's a double wound because you're tapping into that pre-existing space. But you understand now why coordinated efforts left humanity feeling so devoid of love connection. And the ultimate answer that humanity reached was, God doesn't care about me, little old me. I'm here on my own. My life is mine to fend for or fix. And this state of depravity, because that's really what it is a state of mental depravity to be in, to think I'm here on my own, unsupported and unloved. For humanity to walk around with these concepts is so unnatural. It's going to lead to such disharmony and such dis-ease within the being. And we're seeing that. We see that in so many people around us. And of course, I often talk about the spiritual warriors. That's people like you and me, the people in my online community. Man, these are spiritual warriors. By the way, if you want to join them, the link is in my description box below. This is where the growth, the love, the unity, the connection happens at an exponential and even mind-blowing rate. In spaces and places in your life where that connection is seeping through, it's going to become more and more evident. And I wonder if you've already experienced it. Now, let me give you my 2 examples of where I recently experienced a prayer that I forgot to pray that was answered anyway, so that you can maybe look in your life and go, whoa, something similar has happened to me. And if it hasn't, then get excited. Because what that means is, ooh, this is what's coming. This is what's in store for me, because it's true. We cannot possibly connect in the way that we are and then still feel disconnection. We cannot possibly reconnect with the cosmic field around us and still feel isolation. All of this over time begins to melt. The degree of melting varies person to person based on the courage of the spiritual warrior to face those initial layers that I spoke about in the beginning, the initial layers of pain, resistance, etc. The spiritual warrior faces themselves, and as they do, that higher consciousness seeps into their being, dissolving all of the pain and leaving a true sense of unity. It's kind of like a signature energy of enlightenment. Now, here's the two examples. Number one, I received fairly recently an email. I received lots of emails, you can imagine, and most of them are pretty beautiful. Some of them are pretty nasty, and that's just the nature of where humanity is, and that's okay. I tend not to take to heart or too seriously people's opinion of me. Whether they're saying to me, oh God, Kerry, I love you, you're the best thing ever. Oh God, Kerry, I hate you, you're the worst thing ever. I tend not to give too much credence to that, because imagine if I was dependent on somebody else's perspective or somebody else's opinion of me. However, recently I received an email that happened for me to be a very cutting, very deeply cutting email. It started out with, hey, Kerry, I love you. You're so amazing. You're so wonderful. But, and the email continued in a very, very deeply passive aggressive tone. And much like a narcissist would do, you know, a narcissist always wants to kind of project at you their own behavior and tell you this is your behavior. And tell you that it's not just them, the person who is holding this perspective. They want to speak on behalf of countless many. Well, that's what this person in their email was doing. They were saying, I'm speaking on behalf of many, and I'm telling you, Kerry, you need to reel it in. You are too harsh, too direct, too confrontational. And you know what's crazy is I've worked so hard in my online community specifically to show them the real me. Because I want people to see in action, in motion, this here is an imperfect human being holding an emotion through their body, dissolving it in real time in front of you and transmuting it into light. Because that's what we're all capable of. And that's what I want all of you to aspire to never hide in shame and go, oh, I feel anger. Oh, I feel fear, I feel whatever. It's just a feeling and it passes. And that's the crux of what I teach my online community. And this person who sent me the email had been in my online community for quite some time. So I would have imagined, and I think this is why it hurts so much, that she would understand what I've been teaching for so long. And that is just be where you are, and there is no shame in you being where you are. And she picked out one particular call where I had this moment of frustration. And man, it dissolved. But when I tell you it dissolved into unimaginable love, almost unbearable love. And it was such a beautiful thing for people to witness. Wow, look at that. You know, from this moment of frustration, there I went into my power, there I went into my love, there I went into unconditionality. It was so raw and so real and so honest and so vulnerable. And this person picked on it. And you know, what's crazy is they said, oh, you know, first of all, they were speaking on behalf of many. And I wondered, my gosh, you know, who are these many that they're speaking on behalf of? The other thing that I really wondered about was she said, I know what's going on here, Kerry, because people will do this to you. The moment they think they've got ammunition to use against you, they will use it and then disguise it as love. It's the nature of a narcissist, you see. They'll say, I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for your own good. So what this person did is they said, I know your past, Kerry. You were bullied. And because you were bullied, you're turning into a bully now. And that left me kind of speechless, but I did know, right? Because I put out a video a couple of weeks ago about my story. And those who listen to me frequently here on YouTube and in my online community who knows me way more deeply and way more intimately, I do not share my life story, but I don't share my life story very purposefully. It's because of what this woman did. Because the moment a person has what they think is your life story, they will use it against you and say, that's why you're doing what you're doing. It's because, like, let's say, for example, in your life, you were once an alcoholic. Or let's say, for example, in your life, you once experienced extreme poverty. Somebody's going to take what they perceive to be a weak point, and then they're going to bring it up and say, oh, I know why you're doing what you're doing. It's because you were abused when you were younger, or it's because you think people are out to get you because that's what you've experienced. Nonetheless, this person was showing me, or trying to show me, through her own bully behavior, that I was being a bully, and none of it made sense. And I could see the narcissism shining through. And as much as I would love to say to you, I'm perfect and I don't get derailed. Well, I am not perfect and I do get derailed, and this email derailed me. And thank God it derailed me for 2 to 3 days, which is not long in the grand scheme of things. That was a great little shift in consciousness that I had, and I'm absolutely healed and fine from it now. And I'm very grateful to the person who sent this to me, because she provided the perfect landscape for the prayer that I forgot to pray being answered. So here I've got this attack on my nature, on my personality. There's this ganging up on me. There's this accusing me of being a certain way that I know just is not, that I know I've become more powerful, and I know in my power I'm not holding back anymore. And essentially the bottom line, if we summed up this whole email, this person was saying, Kerry, could you just be less powerful? There you go. Easy peasy. Just be less powerful. Because the less powerful I am, the less I'm going to grow, the less I'm going to challenge the people listening to me. And she was asking me this. And I knew that. I knew that energetically that was her message to me. The prayer that I forgot to pray, that was answered anyway, happened over a period of 24 hours where I received no less than 20 emails. Now, by the way, a person can easily find me confrontational or harsh or whatever. And in that case, I would really trust and hope that a person just leaves me. I would really trust and hope that a person just unfollows my channel, unfollows me or my membership community or whatever it is. But to expect another human being to change or meter themselves down, water themselves down so as to be less confrontational to another person's growth, that just defies what I'm here to do on this planet. Nonetheless, 20 emails came in 24 hours. I most of them from people I don't even know, saying, Kerry, I just want to tell you that when you got so direct and so in your face and so beautifully, powerfully authentic on your call the other day, it just shifted something in me. The perspectives you've shared are unlike anything I've ever felt. The feelings I felt are unlike anything I've ever felt. The connection to divinity I have is unlike anything I ever felt. It purified me. It frazzled me in a really, really good way. And I could feel density dropping. And bottom line, nothing's ever shifted me the way these conversations are when you get so damn powerful and you say it how it is and you don't hold back. And I got one email in and I thought, oh, isn't that lovely? That's kind of like showing me, no, people are ready. Because that, I think, was a big part of my hurt was, wait, don't tell me people aren't ready for this. No, it can't be. We're too close to ascension for people to not be ready for this. And then another email came in with the same message, and another email and another email. And many of them were scattered, some over YouTube and some on my Patreon community, and most of them via email. And I suddenly looked at the unprecedented 20 emails saying the same thing over a 24-hour period directly following that one email that had stirred me so deeply. Oh my gosh, that was God, Source, Creator Consciousness. That was the universe saying, Kerry, you need to see the bigger picture, and you need to see it now, and you need to shift out of this thinking that you've fallen into, and you need to see the bigger picture, and you need to stay powerful. It was like a shout from the universe. The way that this prayer was answered was so magnificently. And you know what the crazy thing is? I never thought to ask for help. I didn't. I never said, hey, God, can you help me? Hey, universe, can you show me? I just shouldered something that I knew I would discharge. I knew that I would release it. I knew it wasn't going to stop me. I knew it was a hiccup, and I just knew I was going to do it like I always do, which is face it in myself and grow. And man, the beauty of understanding that we don't have to live life that way anymore. If you've lived it like me, sorting through things on your own, how beautiful is it to relax into the feeling that says, but I'm supported. And I still have to do the work, 100%, but I'm supported in doing the work. That cosmic field is right here around me. There is no more separation. There is no more veil of illusion and disconnection that I cannot go beyond. I can go beyond all of that and bring it into my everyday. The second prayer that I didn't pray but was answered anyway happened on the road. I was driving, my husband was next to me, and a woman she didn't try to ram me off the road. That's incorrect. She was, and I think this happens when people drive sometimes in La La Land. She didn't know what she was doing. she was all over the road, and the road was narrowing, and she needed to let me in. And the bottom line is she didn't see me, so I started hooting. All right, for those of you in the US, honking my horn. Okay, I'm hooting, I'm honking, you're about to run me off the road. I'm frantically trying to get this lady's attention, and she's oblivious. She's absolutely oblivious. And that's okay still for me. People can be oblivious. I'm kind of okay with that. I knew that some way, somehow I was going to be protected, although I don't know when last I was that close to having an accident in the car. Here's the part that was really rattling though. She went into such a crazy rage at me. And I know you've seen this behavior in people. When you point out something that they've done wrong, they make you wrong. And it's okay. We can all do silly things on the road, right? I'm not expecting perfection. Just maybe like, oh, sorry, I didn't see you. That would have been good. But she became very aggressive. And hand signals and all sorts of very unpretty things followed. And I thought, but you nearly rammed me off the road. How is this where humanity is? And my husband and I were talking about it on the way home, and we both felt really hurt, this collective hurt that I think is so deep for people. And that is how pervasive this narcissistic tendency in humanity is, wherein they will blame you for their own behavior. So it was a similar kind of thing to the email, but I mean, it's just so prevalent in humanity. We were talking about it. We were both rattled by it. We were having dinner that night, still talking about it, when suddenly a prayer that neither one of us had thought to pray was answered anyway. A man arrived at our gate, and we were both thinking, I mean, we don't get visitors. Who are you? This man arrives at a gate, bringing us a parcel that we didn't even know we'd forgotten at the shops. The parcel, thankfully, had a prescription in it, which was traced through the pharmacy. This person brought to our gate, totally out of their way, something they did not need to do, something we never would have asked for a good Samaritan to literally show up at our door. And that was the contrast. As if God was saying, yes, you do have these people with this pervasive darkness in them. And you also have people with so much light in them. That was the message. The message was, but look at the beauty, look at the light, look at the love, look at the kindness that is in humanity, and focus on that. And just instantly, like an elastic band, it brought me back to my place of centeredness. It brought me back out of that hurt. Oh God, people can be so mean. It took me out of that into, oh yes, I forgot why we were doing this. It's to wake up to a planet of love once again. It's because we know that that's who we are, and we need to be that before others can. Oh yes, thank you, I remember. That was the prayer answered. How many times in your life has a prayer been answered that you forgot to pray? And look at the last week of your life. Can you see? Are there places in the last week? Are there places in the last day? And will there be room for tomorrow? More importantly, will there be room for tomorrow for you to have prayers answered that you forgot to pray? Will you walk into a lifetime allowing this level of connection to divinity? I certainly will. And I hope you walk next to me, because one thing is becoming more and more apparent, and that is that we've all come to this time to find each other, to whisper into each other's ears, whispers of love, reminders of home. The sanctuary from whence we all come is speaking through our words and through our hearts. I love you deeply. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to sharing more with you in the comment section below. Lots of love, everyone. Bye-bye for now.